the fundamental illusion, I don't know if magicians will get upset with this.
This is Brian Brushwood. Brian is a magician and podcaster who's appeared on numerous television shows, including The Tonight Show, CNN, and Penn and Teller's Fool Us. You might also recognize him from Scam Nation, a show where he teaches the audience entertaining tricks at bars so they can scam a free drink. But today, he's going to be watching a number of tricks from Devolver Digital's new game Card Shark to tell us if what's in the game is really possible and how easy it is to pull these tricks off. Oh, and how dangerous an attempt at these tricks could be in real life.
This is a solid code. Oh, good. So we're only doing the face cards. Okay. I am so excited because I suspect that anybody under the age of 13, this is how they will experience card tricks for the most part. This sounds like something that could only work in a friendly game or where you have the dealer on the inside. But there is a reason at blackjack tables that people will sit all the way off to, I think it's called third base, is because they will be able to, if the dealer is right or left-handed or whatever, occasionally catch just a glimpse of what their whole card is. That lets them do what's called advantage play, which technically is not illegal. However, at any moment, the casino can tell you you're trespassing, and then you could be arrested for trespassing. There you go. So magicians call that the glimpse. So we just glimpsed an ace of spades, a queen of spades. Oh, so we have to communicate under fire. Oh, this is wonderful. It's one thing to understand the principles. It's another one to do it, the timing, where you are not afforded the luxury of waiting. Oh, this is awesome. I mean, there's no reason this exact code couldn't be the one that people use. And I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes kind of a de facto way that everybody knows how to cheat because they all play this game together. That's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out a shared method of communication. So here's one that doesn't require any kind of special hand movements or anything hard. All you got to do is have a confederate who's sitting across from you. They've got, let's say, a coaster for their drink right over here. You've got 4 items. They're going to be 4 face down cards. They're going to pick one of them. In this case, let's say the special one is the only black card, the 9 of spades right over here. So that's going to be their card. While you're turned away, they're going to indicate that that's their card. All you need your confederate to do is to take a sip of their drink and set it on the corresponding spot of the napkin. And while you are totally turned around, they're able to give away exactly which card they're thinking of. Unfortunately, you're shining such a spotlight on the fact that you're up to something that you would never want to pull this in a gambling kind of situation, only when you're doing magic. Boy, do the rules change when you're actually gambling for money. There's an old saying among magicians and gamblers: if you sit down for a friendly game of poker and you can't tell who the fish is, it's you. Hand codes require you to actually be paying attention to the right place at the right time, which I tend not to trust. I like auditory cues, and even better, I like them not at the moment that it matters. For example, if I was to work out a secret code with you, I would say, make sure to cough on the item after the right one. So I'll say, okay, so we've got 4 cards. It's the 7 of diamonds, the 4 of hearts, the king of diamonds, cough, and the king of hearts. And because you coughed on the king of diamonds, I would know that it was actually the 4 of hearts. It is way harder to bust somebody when they're making weird moves or noises on the wrong card. I'm at the edge of my seat. Oh, man. This is the version I never got good at. All good versions of card tossing involve lots of spin. There we go. And in this case, what he's doing is he's gripping it on the side. He's dragging down with his index finger. And if you roll over your index finger, it's going to get on the nail. And the right side is going to go flinging, and it'll get lots of spin. So you can actually catch it and do cool stuff like that. Wow, that's very accurate. I could never get good at that one. The one I was good at is the sideways one, where I used my thumb to push up, and it would eventually pop it straight up. And so you get some crazy, like 30 feet up, this, whoop, and it's gone. There we go. And in fact, you could kind of do a boomerang card effect. If you have enough spin, it'll go out and then come back to you. Here we go. There, like that. And in fact, if you don't have the skills, you can fake it with a rubber band, because as long as you have lots of spin, it's gonna go great. For example, here, we'll use a hairband here. If you take a hairband in one hand and you're gonna just pull back the front part and let go, we're gonna stick a card about a quarter of the way in, pinch it on the top and bottom, and when we let go, there'll be so much spin. Nope. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah. So as long as there's lots of spin, it's easier to throw cards than you would think. Try to hit the lens. We got this fancy lens, I'm gonna break it. Yeah! Whenever you're flicking your card the way they're showing here, there is that telltale kind of click sound, right? That's why you want to make sure that it's nice and quiet as you, can you hear that? There you go, something like that. Because otherwise the version they're doing, you're gonna get a click, like, you hear that? I was never good at that one. If you want to keep it quiet, then you would pull the card all the way out. I usually pinch it right at the corner, up at the edge, very loosely between fingers 1 and 2. And I act like, I don't know, like you're flicking something off. And it should provide enough spin. Nope, I'm gonna break my computer. There we go. No, I really am gonna break the computer. There it is. Okay, so the only question I'm trying to figure out is whether or not to spill the real secret of the 3-card Monty before or after I see this. So this scam of trying to find the 1 and 3, sometimes it's the pea under a shell. I saw it on the streets of New Orleans with a wadded up piece of string underneath some Diet Coke tabs, but the fundamental principles are always the same. And I'll be curious whether or not they give up the real secret. I just realized I wasn't even paying attention to which card was where. Oh, do they not teach the actual illusion? All good magic tricks, by the time the magician says, now we begin, it's already over, it's already been done. In this case, let's say we got, I don't know, a king, a queen, and a 3. We'll make the 3 the odd card. In the case of the 3-card Monty, the fundamental illusion, I don't know if magicians will get upset with this, but is that you show the 3 on the bottom, and then as you slam it down, it looks like you would think that I'm throwing the 3 down, but I'm actually retaining the 3, and the one I'm tossing down is the indifferent other card. So this is the important one, and when you toss it down, you're just kicking over an indifferent card and retaining the magic card. So they're following the wrong card. At that point, you could go as slow as you want, but here's the important part. That's not the real secret of the 3-card Monty. The real secret of the 3-card Monty is not that little illusion, because they actually want you to figure that out. The real secret is that that crowd of people who are watching the 3-card Monty, most of them are employed by the tosser, is the name that they use. And I know it sounds funny, but the tosser is running the Monty. But meanwhile, let's say you happen to be right and point to where the card is. It's their job to jump in front of you and say, no, 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 I'll double that bet. It's this one. And the guy says, oh, well, I have to go with the bigger bet. And then, of course, it's the wrong one. And it's like, oh man, if only you had bet more. And it's only when you bet on the wrong one that they get your money. And the worst part is, let's say you do something drastic, like take a knife and jab it in the right one, then they just take you out back and kick the shit out of you. That's how the 3-card Monty works. I want to say in the 1980s, there was a court ruling that determined it was a game of skill. But of course, if played fairly, it is a game of skill. But it was never played fairly because everybody watching, air quotes, are actually stooges working for the guy tossing the Monty. It's that engaging hypnotic patter. It's that ability to keep on drawing people in and to demonstrate, as humans, we all follow something called social proof. This is the reason that we love laugh tracks. This is the reason we trust Yelp. We don't want to be the sucker. And if there's a crowd of people and you keep on seeing all these other people win, your brain short circuits and you think, I'm missing out on a good thing. So you jump in just in time to be the first loser of the evening. You said it's called the disheveled what? One of the crazy things about Magic is once you learn a trick, everybody instantly, including me, changes the name. So I've never heard this called the disheveled gatherer, but I want to see what it is. I keep wanting to hit a button and then I realize I'm not supposed to. This is great. I love the fact that it's training you to think of every fourth card, to think of the outcome and work your way backwards. This is foundational to a good Magic trick. As a matter of fact, if you've ever heard a gambler talk about ringing in a cooler, what they would do is they'd have a pre-stacked entire deck of cards that they would keep, I don't know, smuggled away under the table. And under cover of pulling out the shuffled deck, they would replace it with the stacked deck, which because it hadn't been handled by hands, was physically cooler, which is where you get the phrase ringing in a cooler. And in this case, we're learning to stack the deck so that everybody gets high cards, but a really good stack has everybody convinced at the table that they're the only ones who have a really good hand. This is amazing. This is exactly what we do when we're teaching stuff on Scam Nation. We actually make sure to put the cards face up so that you can see them where they're gonna end up. So this shuffle is called the overhand shuffle, and it used to be the default way that all gamblers would shuffle cards, maybe in steamboat, riverboat days, but it was so easy to cheat that it became outlawed. If you have a pack of cards, you can peel off the top one. Let's say this is their card. Then you just keep on shuffling. And every time you lift the deck, you just pinch that bottom card and it stays there. So you're able to retain it on the bottom until you need it back on top, at which point you just shuffle all the cards until eventually you count off to the very last card, their card, and put it right back on top. Or third from the top or wherever you need it. Wow, so they're even talking about the outjogged card at the bottom. This goes back to a book by Hugard and Brow called The Royal Road to Card Magic. This is one of the first things you learn. So let's say you have a stack where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right up top, and you want to preserve it. You'll grab the cards from the bottom, you'll outjog towards you, one card, this is extreme here, toss the rest on top because you don't really care. And then when you pinch, you'll keep that gap and pull off the cards until you get back to that same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up top. Sorry, I'm so transfixed. Whether you call it in jogging or out jogging, the point is you want one card that is sticking out towards you. It could be out towards the audience, I guess that's out jogging, or you can put it more in towards yourself. But in either case, you want to make it subtle. And the very best magicians out there are able to do it so subtly that only a few millimeters is all they need, so that when they pinch the cards, they're able to lift up with their thumb and get the tiniest little gap that they're able to entirely by feel count off until they hit. And now all of a sudden they've reset that stack back to the top. All right, so let's say you've got a prearranged stack of cards. In this case, they're in new deck order, right? But in your case, you want to be able to bilk the gazillionaire out of all their money. You would ring in the cooler and you would have them cut the cards. You would pay attention to where they're cutting, and then you would use something called the shift or the pass. This is sort of a contest that magicians love to do. In this case, I need to shift it back so that we're back reset to, let's say, the ace of spades being on top. And if you do it right, I'll do it face up. I don't know how good this is, it's been a minute. But just over kind of jogging the cards, you can actually reset it back to where it was at the beginning. Let's say I were to hold out the deck of cards and you were to pick any number of cards. Totally fair, right? And let's say I would, upon scooping them up, I would put the top half on the bottom. I would put a little pinky in there. I would put this on top. And just over the course of altering the deck, I've now reset it completely back to new deck order. If you see it, then it's best to pretend you didn't see it, because just like the 3-card Monty, nobody cheats at gambling without some muscle at the ready.
So, As it turns out, lots of the tricks in Card Shark aren't just accurate, they're entirely possible. That is if you're playing against friends and not an underworld gambler. Excuse me while I work out how to flick a card across a room, because that looks that looks quite difficult. If you want to see more of Brian's work, you can check out Scam Nation or his podcast, World's Greatest Con.